The workers on the restoration are an extraordinary group of people. I've restored other buildings before, like Government House in Melbourne, which was a job for most people. But this group are entirely dedicated. The stone workers are all practicing Christians in some form or other. They believe that it's God's work. Our workers on the interior are very much the same themselves. George Janis is of Greek background. He studied in London, in Melbourne and in Italy. He's a many-sided, many diverse, talented person who's capable of doing everything in the decorative arts fields, from French polishing and gilding to carving in marble, to making statues, and to general restoration and reproduction of the stencil works.
Well, one thing that illustrates how people have responded, or the workers have responded, is that of Socrates, who helps George. You know, both are of Greek Orthodox background, as you can imagine from the name, and he's commonly known as Sox. Oh, Socrates one day was telling me that this was the best job that he had ever had, because he was working in God's house. He was involved in something very beautiful that was being done for God, and that gave him great joy.
There's only one serious major challenge, that is finance. And remember that this church is Australia's largest parish church of any denomination, and it's bigger than most provincial cathedrals. Cathedrals don't have much difficulty in attracting funds from government, from private sources and from the general community, as it were. But in a city like Melbourne, which has many churches, it's very hard to attract the sort of money that's required.
We still need the big donors, there's no doubt about that. It's wonderful to get the $20 donations and the $50 donations, and you know, sometimes people of very modest means will even come up with 500 or more. But there are people out there, I think, that could help us in an important way if they knew what was going on here and they realized how much other people are doing at great sacrifice.
My optimistic hope for the current phase of the restoration is that we'll find the money we need to finish this stage of it. I'm confident of that. I know, as I explain sometimes to some people, I have my black days and I think we won't be able to continue. But I think we will, and I think we'll get it finished. I think firstly it brings about a revival of the parish. Almost any time of day when you go in there, you'll find that there is somebody there. And from being a sort of Cinderella church on the fringe of the central business district of Melbourne, it's starting once again, I think, to find a life of its own and to become a significant church and a significant spiritual home for so many people.
It's not just a matter of restoring a building, obviously. It's in a certain sense, a kind of regeneration of a whole life of the church. As the church comes back to its original character and beauty, it acts as a kind of a magnet and draws people, and it draws people to God. I mean, when they do enter it, they see that this place really does invite them to a kind of encounter with God, with Christ, with Mary, with the saints.
I feel overwhelmed quite often. It looks much better than I ever thought it would. And that's because when we revealed the quality of what was there in the beginning, by removing the overlayers of subsequent work, we revealed a most beautiful building. I'd always suspected it was this beautiful, but I never thought it was quite as good as it is.
God is the infinitely beautiful. He's not only the infinitely good, the infinitely merciful, love personified, if you like, but he's beautiful. And he has all perfection in himself. And anything that we create that's beautiful is really, in some way, it's an imitation of what we see in the creation. The colors, the forms, and so on. And ultimately, God as creator has implanted that in the universe.